Hi all, welcome to another Seasons and Garden video. I'm sorry I'm looking a bit crappy because quite frankly I am currently having a bad bout of the sinus inflammation, which is something that's chronic with me and usually gives me quite a bad time. So, however, I wanted to let you know that there has been some propagating happening. I do have some videos in the leaflet playlist that are coming up, and one of them will be actually regarding this. These are the cuttings from Fuchsia magellanica, so hardy fuchsia, and yeah, they're a bit laggy at the moment because it was very hot and my husband likes to put down the blinds, so they were in a bit of a dark environment for a couple of days. But I'm planning to replant them each in its own pot and then to put them outside so that they have a bit more light and are a bit less laggy. So these are the first ones that I would like to show you. Now, when it comes to the fuchsias and their propagation, I use the standard way of propagating them that I use in most of the cases, which is basically you find the leaf nodes, you strip the leaves and you cut below the node and you put at least 2 leaf nodes in the soil. That's because the leaf nodes usually contain rooting hormone naturally in the plant itself. That's what's interesting with the plants, is because a lot of plants that can be rooted or propagated via these cuttings where you take the node and put the leaf node below the soil have in the nodes also the information that they need to make roots. So these nodes that are now leaf nodes, when they get below the soil and they feel the water and everything, they actually develop roots themselves. What's also inside these nodes, and why, for instance, I don't have to use the rooting hormone, is that, like I said, there is an actual rooting hormone inside those nodes already, and the plant or the cutting is going to use that to develop further, to develop the roots themselves. Now, this is also true when you're doing the cuttings via layering, which is also something that I'm currently working on. I'm propagating my perovskia via layering. Now, layering itself takes much longer time for the roots to develop than this method of actually making a cutting, simply because the plants are usually a bit, lazy, because the branch that you lay down and cover with the earth is still attached to the mother plant, and they just take their time to root, and it takes months for them to root. It's not as fast as, for instance, when you make a cutting, remove it from the mother plant and then just put it into the soil and wait for it to root. This goes way faster because the plant doesn't have the roots, doesn't have a way to just pull the nutrients, so it has to do something. So my perovskia has been rooting now for I think about 2 months, and I haven't checked it recently for the roots, but they're now just starting to do the, like I said, my experience with the layering propagation is that it takes longer time for the plants to develop the roots than it takes when you cut them and you put the nodes below the soil. Now, this is something that I wasn't sure that it would work because honestly I don't have experience with with successful propagation of the plants in this manner. This is Clematis montana, and we took 2 branches from the plant and small branches, and from there I managed to get 6 cuttings. Now one of them, this one over here, is barely alive. I will try to transplant it and then we'll see, because it still has some green on it. There are some fungus gnats around them, but that shouldn't pay that much of an issue to the plants. And yeah, now the difference between this cutting and this cutting is that this cutting is called an intranodal cutting. What does that mean? So what it means is that this plant is developing roots from the wound that is between the nodes, the leaf nodes. So not at the leaf node, but between the leaf nodes. One of the reasons why I wasn't sure that it's going to work is because usually for intranodal cuttings you would use a rooting hormone because you don't have the node inside the soil, and it doesn't necessarily have a rooting hormone inside it. However, when it comes to the clematis and certain other plants, it seems that they are also capable of developing roots without the hormones, as in without us adding extra rooting hormone. So since I don't have any type of rooting hormone here, nor am I sure that I can use it, because so in European Union some things are just being prohibited, and there was a certain type of the rooting hormone that we could use, and now I'm not sure if there's something else that's allowed for the use of the home gardener. Now this is different when you're working in a nursery, because then they have all of the stuff that they need, but for us, the home gardeners, it's a bit different. Right, sorry for saying a lot, but I'm really struggling at the moment with a headache and it's quite hard to talk. However, I still wanted to do this video, especially because I really need to transplant these ones. I also have to make the last of the leaflet video for this so that I can publish it. And I also wanted to touch on the intranodal cuttings, so that and to let you know that there's been a bit more propagation and not just what you have seen in the past. So yeah, now when it comes to clematis, this is like the first time that I'm actually propagating the clematis itself. So usually I would just buy the plants and I would plant them, and then, you know, that would be it. So every time that I was buying a new clematis or planting a new clematis, I would buy instead of propagate. So I'm very pleased with the first results of my propagation, and I had already checked the roots if they're there, and they are. I'm not sure if I checked with this one or with this one. Maybe that's why this one is doing a bit worse, because I may have pulled it out and checked for the roots. So when it comes to these intranodal cuttings, I'm going to show you. It will be this thing to show. Oops. That was very successful. So a lot of people, what they do is they take a really big cutting that has at least 2 nodes, like something that I'm doing usually, and then of the clematis, and then they put it inside the soil. What I did what I've done was something that was, it was a video from a nursery, I can link it down, when they did their cuttings of the clematis. And what he said was basically, you really don't need a lot of the stem. You only need to have enough, like an inch, 2 inches, so that it fits into your container. And so that's something that I've done, and if you take a look, there's actually quite a nice root on the plant, and it's not coming from the node itself, it's actually coming from the wound of the place where I have cut it. Now that is what it's called, the intranodal one. You ignore the nodes, you're only interested into making the clean cut, into the best cut that you can. So for this you definitely have to use a sharp knife, and you shouldn't use any secateurs or something like that, because you want this cut to be clean. And the clean cut means that there's less damage to the plant and to the stem and of the cutting. So less places for the actual bacteria to get in, which I know sounds funny because basically you're putting the cutting into the soil, but still it's you know, just one wound that the plant, that the cutting needs to care about and needs to heal. And in this case of the clematis plants, it is healing them by creating new roots. Now, this is all coming from the same plant. It's all Clematis montana, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all of these clematis. Maybe I give a plant to my sister. We will see. I have already probably lost one plant, so I am probably going to lose one more after the transplanting, because of the shock of transplantation. And yeah, then I would expect to lose also one plant when I transplant them back into, not back into the new garden, because this will be a completely new soil and they have to get used to the new soil, because that's the thing about cuttings. They get used to one type of soil, and then when you transplant them, and it's true for any type of plant, they basically come into the different soil, and then they might get a little bit of shock, or if you have too crummy soil and there's too much of a difference between the soil that is your native soil and the soil of the plant, they might get root bound. And this is actually something that I will have to be very, very careful about, because our soil is clay. Let's be honest, it's clay. It's clay. And if you just dig a hole, plop a plant and cover it with the same soil, it's most likely this plant will suffer and will have a hard time. And there are even cases where the plant just doesn't push the roots into the native soil because it doesn't like it, and it just stays and basically gets root bound, even though you have planted it into the soil. But anyway, that's something that's going to be happening in the future, and I'm still going to talk about it in the future. And yeah, so I'm now going to transplant my rootings into their new home, and then that will be it for this video. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the cuttings and what's happening and what I'm doing, and of course again brag about how I'm not using a rooting hormone. But yeah, like I said, the truth is that I'm not sure that that's anything available for us as home gardeners. If there is something available in Germany, then let me know. Maybe I can use it in the future. I say maybe because so far I did not need it, so I don't see the point in you know, forcing myself now to use something that I haven't really used for I don't know how long, maybe 20 years. I used it once, I think when I was a teenager or something like that, when I was trying to root something. I'm not sure what, but yeah, my mom had it, so we used it, and yeah. Anyhow, that's it, and I'm gonna do this now. We'll do it together, and then I'll see you in the new video. Bye!